Welcome, dear friends, to another adventure on our Breakforth Virtual Holy Land Tour. Today, we find ourselves at Masada in the Judean desert, ready to uncover the gripping true story of this fortress once deemed impenetrable, the Roman siege it withstood, the Jewish rebels who defended it, and a pivotal decision that has resonated throughout history. Masada stands as a testament to the relentless fight for freedom waged by the Jews until their final moments. It has evolved into a symbol of defiance against oppression for the Jewish people today. Before we head up to Masada, let's take a look around at the beautiful but stark Judean desert that surrounds Masada. Although Masada rises high above the desert that surrounds it, it's interesting to note that the mountain's elevation is actually roughly at sea level, and this is because the Dead Sea, situated close to it, lies approximately 400 meters below sea level. So, if we're so low, how do we get up to the top of Masada? Well, there are three ways. We can hike the snake path that takes about an hour, we can take the old Roman ramp that takes about 20 minutes, or we can take the cable car that takes about 3 minutes. So we'll take a couple of different ways up. First, join Elsa and me on a super speed hike up to the top of Masada along the snake path, and then we'll take a hyperspeed ride up on the cable car. Okay, here we go. Almost there. It's a little tiring.
We're on the top of Masada. We just climbed the snake path trail up here. It was crazy. We promise you're taking the trap.
Now that we're at the top of Masada, take a look around at the beautiful Judean desert. What a view! You can see the Dead Sea, or as they prefer to call it in Israel, the Salt Sea, as well as the oasis of En-Gedi, where David hid from Saul. And the view you're seeing is unchanged from when Herod built his fortress over 2,000 years ago. But as beautiful as this view is, it's incredibly remote. And as you saw from our hike up here, it's not easy to get to. Masada stands as one of 6 desert fortresses constructed by King Herod, who selected its location for both strategic and luxurious purposes. Nestled in the remote wilderness near the Dead Sea, this mountain offered a naturally defensible position, with its flat summit encircled by steep cliffs on all sides. Herod, known both for his architectural genius and his ruthless nature, was driven by a mix of paranoia and a fear of assassination. And that was a concern that was not unfounded given the many enemies he'd made. In response, he fortified Masada into a near impenetrable fortress. Atop this mountain, Herod commanded the construction of a formidable double-wall perimeter, complete with watchtowers and barracks for his troops. He didn't stop there. He also commissioned the creation of a magnificent northern palace complex. This sprawling edifice featured an imposing tower, extensive storerooms, a luxurious bathhouse, and a grand palace spread across 3 terraced levels, dramatically perched over the desert below. Let's now visit some of Herod's building highlights on Masada. As we've seen in our other Breakforth Holy Land tours, securing a water source in the desert presents a formidable challenge. Herod understood that despite Masada's impressive location, without a reliable water supply, this fortress would be untenable. So, what solution did Herod and his engineers devise? They ingeniously harnessed rainwater, channeling it through extensive aqueducts directly into vast cisterns that were sealed with plaster to ensure that they remained watertight. This engineering feat was so successful that it not only provided ample drinking water and a robust defense during sieges, but it also supported the luxury of Roman baths and swimming pools. You've got to give it to Herod to pull this off on the top of a desert mountain. Let's visit these next and see the opulence that water brought to this desert stronghold. This area serves as a changing room. Here you'll switch into a robe before beginning your bathhouse experience. First, you'll take a plunge in the cold water pool located in this initial chamber. And then, after cooling off, you'll proceed to the steam room. This room is warmed by a furnace located externally, with a cleverly designed double floor allowing hot air to circulate underneath, effectively heating the space above. Now, taking a luxurious steam bath is pretty nice, but what about the availability of food and other essentials? Well, archaeologists discovered around 15 storage rooms here, each one likely filled with barrels and sacks of provisions such as grain and olive oil and wine and dates, foods that can be preserved well in this arid climate. Now, the palace is the high point of Masada, but before we head there, let's take a walk around Masada to experience some of the other areas. Now here we are at this stunning palace. This is a 3-level palace hugging onto the side of the cliff face of Masada, using leading-edge Roman-era technology to accomplish this. We're on the top level now. You can imagine Herod stretching out in the morning, going out to this very balcony, enjoying the majestic view of the Judean desert. On the lower level, you have 2 more terraces where the middle part and the lower part of the palace were placed. A spiral hidden stairway connected all of them. In the lower level of the palace below, you can see stunning mosaic floors, frescoes, and other indications of opulence throughout. Now, I've given you some background on Masada from Herod's perspective in Herod's time, but there really are 2 stories that we need to share when we visit Masada. The second one that must be told is of the Jewish revolt and the tragic end that took place on this very mountaintop. It goes like this. Before his crucifixion, Jesus had told of the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. And this unthinkable prophecy was about to take place just 40 years later. Although Judea had always been in turmoil under the oppression of the Romans, in 70 AD it came to a head. At that time, the skies above Jerusalem darkened as the majestic Second Temple, the very center of Jewish worship, actually built by Herod, faced its inevitable doom in retaliation for resistance against the Roman occupation. Don't mess with Rome. It was during this chaotic time that a band of fearless Jewish rebels, hearts ablaze with defiance, fled the engulfing flames of their beloved city. Their destination? The fortress of Masada. This seemingly inconquerable fortress perched atop a rugged desert plateau. Surrounded by sheer cliffs and fortified walls built by King Herod himself, the rebels felt well protected from a Roman onslaught. Here, amidst the harsh desert winds, the rebels sought refuge, their spirits unbroken despite the encroaching shadow of the Roman legions. Then, as the 10th Roman Legion set up encampments around Masada's base, which you can still see, the stage was set for a confrontation of epic proportions. Here, the Roman army built a ramp that you can still also see today, aiming to breach the rebels' last sanctuary. Although the rebels had felt secure, they realized their bravado was no match for Roman military might. So as the Roman battering rams thundered against Masada's walls, the rebels faced a grim choice. It is believed here, in this ancient synagogue, that the rebel leaders sat together and they decided the fate of nearly 1,000 people in their group, men, women, and children. In a final act of defiance, they chose death over subjugation, culminating in a tragic mass suicide, a decision that still echoes through the very fiber of the Jewish people today, to choose resistance over slaughter, over enslavement, over subjugation. Although our Christian faith absolutely holds to the sanctity of life, this fortress, Masada, where ancient rebels once made their last stand, continues to serve as a powerful reminder of resistance to the enemy. And as we stand on its heights, looking out over the rugged landscapes that once witnessed such fierce bravery, we can't help but be moved by those who dared to defy an entire empire. As we draw this tour of Masada to a close, let's weave the past to the present. When we're here in Masada, we reflect on the fulfillment of the ancient prophecy from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, as we consider where Israel is at today. The hand of the Lord is on me, and he brought me out by the Spirit of the Lord and set me in the middle of a valley. It was full of bones. He led me back and forth among them, and I saw a great many bones on the floor of the valley, bones that were very dry. He asked me, "Son of man, can these bones live?" I said, "Sovereign Lord, you alone know." Then he said to me, "Prophesy to these bones and say to them, dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says to these bones. I will make breath enter you, and you will come to life. I will attach tendons to you and make flesh come upon you and cover you with skin. I will put breath in you, and you will come to life. Then you will know that I am the Lord." So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I was prophesying, there was a noise, a rattling sound, and the bones came together, bone to bone. I looked, and tendons and flesh appeared on them, and skin covered them, but there was no breath in them. Then he said to me, "Prophesy to the breath, prophesy, Son of man, and say to it, this is what the sovereign Lord says, come breath from the four winds and breathe into these slain, that they may live." So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath entered them. They came to life and stood up on their feet, a vast army. Then he said to me, "Son of man, these bones are the people of Israel. They say, our bones are dried up and our hope is gone. We are cut off. Therefore prophesy and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. My people, I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them. I will bring you back to the land of Israel. Then you, my people, will know that I am the Lord, when I open your graves and bring you up from them. I will put my spirit in you, and you will live, and I will settle you in your own land. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have spoken, and I have done it, declares the Lord. This vision mirrors the astonishing revival of Israel itself. Once thought lost after the valiant but ultimately crushed rebellion of AD 73, which saw the Jewish people scattered to the far corners of the globe, Israel has now risen, reborn. Now, as the nation thrives in its ancestral lands, these stones of Masada resonate with the footsteps of a people who were once thought to have vanished forever. Imagine the astonishment that would fill the ancient Romans who thought they had crushed Israel forever if they could just see Israel today, a nation that has defied the worst the enemy could throw at them to be rebirthed in the very land they had been cast out of 2,000 years before. This, my friends, is why Masada remains not just as a relic of the past, but it's a beacon of perseverance and enduring hope for Israel and the world. What a profound sight it is to witness the Jewish people, the embodiment of Ezekiel's prophecy, standing atop Masada once more. Thank you for joining us on this tour of Masada. We pray that you're encouraged by the miraculous power of God to take whatever dry bones may be in your own life, your dreams, your past or your present, and to breathe His Spirit within you to give you a future and a hope. Until our next episode, may you be aware of God's miraculous power in your life, day after day after day.